Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yep. Awesome. So in 17th place, we have Beam Blazers. I didn't include their whole name. The whole name is ChatGPT presents Beam Blazers, but I couldn't fit that in my thing, so I didn't. Anyway, so they're predicted in 17th place overall. Also, all of these predictions are based on mine, Runts, Spiders, and then I also collated all of the community ones. And I put all of them together, and that's what these final predictions are based on. But I had Beam Blazers in 17th. Runt had Beam Blazers in 14th. Spider and the community also had Beam Blazers in 17th. So giving them an average placement of 17th place. So, yeah, on the team we have the BMW, Elmo, Worthy, Bubbles, and Tricky. So we got 2 Diamond players and 3 WA players. Yeah, who wants to say something about these guys? Or maybe Runt, since yours was the most different to everyone else's, putting them in 14th instead of everyone else's 17th. What do you see in these guys?
So initially all my predictions were like pretty standard, pretty much what you'd expect them to be, like very similar to like Ryan's. And then I like went back over all of it, especially the bottom half, and just went, I'm gonna just commit and just go balls to the walls with my predictions. And I think these guys are gonna go well. Decently well at least. Because I think we saw Brad in New Zealand, he was playing well, he's got 2 Hobart pre-nuts under his belt, and he knows how to captain. And I think a bit more so than some of these lower teams. So I think they'll have a more steady captain. And all these players are really solid, so like they haven't played together, but I think they'll all just play their role. Worthy's amazing if he tries hard, so we'll see if he does that. And I think this team can go better than people are giving credit for.
Yeah. Spider, what about you? What made you put them in 17th?
Yeah, I think I just went the classic like, it's a mixed team. That's about it. You look at like the players on there, and like standalone, I wouldn't say there's any like crazy standout players, but they're all like in that mid range. So I think they could easily place higher, but based off like the rest of the teams in the prediction, I see them being like the lower chance of like working really well together. But it's like a lot of people on the team that are community favorites, so I'd love to see them go high just for the memes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I kind of mirrored Spider's thing of this is a mixed team. Queenie has corrected me. Yes, obviously, Worthy or Lewis is from Bendigo. My bad. But when you've got players from 3 different states, it's always a bit of like a toss-up on whether they're going to be able to synergize properly or not. And then also, outside of the BMW, was Elmo at a pre-nuts? I can't remember.
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so looks like Elmo is like the only one with Helios 2 experience. The BMW is the only one with Helios 2 experience. So if they're able to pick up the packs and shoot everyone and not get shot in the phaser, could see them doing really well. But we'll see how they go. Up to you guys to beat your predictions of 17th place. Have you guys got any last things you want to say before we move on?
Nah, let's go.
My audio is cut out. I can't hear anything. What is going on? Where am I?
Dead headphones.
That's weird.
So, how's your day been, Spider?
I'm gonna
Wait.
if you can hear me, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. That's good. Fantastic.
Just pretend you can hear us.
I'm going to reveal the 16th place. I'll let Run and Spider talk about them whilst I try and fix my audio. I can't hear anything. Bear with me, guys.
Let's
Apologies.
just talk about
But
him instead.
16th place, we have Hobart Cerberus.
Oh, that's 15th.
On the team, we have Dominator, Captain Morgan, the Rizzler, Nelly, Tiger, and Flick. Wrong, but nice. And then before I go and fix my audio, what's going on?
It's
Everyone's
15.
laughing. Can you
Can't
hear me?
hear us. Am I fine?
Am I fine?
How do you tell him?
I used the
Spoilers!
screen chat, I guess.
Hold up. Awesome. I can't. 16th, we have Albury Outlaws.
Yeah.
Pat King, Whippet, Vexham, Campster, Brownie. Jesus Christ. I had Albury Outlaws in 16th place. Where did Runt have them? Runt had Outlaws in 17th. Spider had them in 15th. Community had them in 14th, giving them an overall placing of 16th. So Runt or Spider, I can't hear anything still. I'll let you take it away. I'll be back in 1 sec.
You go, Spider.
What a meme. We just get some appreciation for Ryan and his. Yeah, so Outlaws is a bit of like a mixed team. I think, sorry, like mixed feelings. It is an Albury team. Brownie being a player that's kind of been around for ages, definitely got heaps of potential, but hasn't really had the chance to like play with a top tier team in a competition. So I think it's going to be sick for him to really step up this comp. And I believe it would be his first comp away from home. He's come up to Sydney before, but yeah, I'm really keen to see Brownie specifically in the maze and just see how he goes. I think I put them lower just because of their like experience in like other mazes. They tend to kind of just play Albury and go to nationals, and I don't think their training level is like super high. They're not like working as a team as much as we think they should. And we definitely saw that within qualifiers and stuff like that in New South Wales. So I don't think 15th is like, they could be a lot lower. Well, not a lot, 1 or 2. Well, sorry, 16th. They could be one spot down, but I think their goal for this competition should be just not to be in that bottom game, because I think if they are, they might get punished a bit by like home teams and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I had these guys in 17th, which was like I've been following the New South Wales scene a bit and trying to do that, and it sounds like these guys, haven't been training all that much, and I don't know if their playstyle lends itself to H2 that well. So yeah, I think they might struggle a little bit. Brownie, apparently, like really good, apparently a good fantasy pick for anyone who's looking at that. But yeah, I just they could do well. Initially, I thought they'd do well, but I don't know. I just struggle to see how they're going to pull up against teams like Cerberus and those teams that have actually played the maze before, because I think Whippet's the only one that's played and she's not captain. So I think it'll be a bit harder for this team to adjust than some of the others around their rank.
I'm back, by the way. I have no idea what happened.
Let's go.
My audio just like went. I just had to turn my headset off and then back on, but we're back. But yeah. Where did I have them? I think I had them in 16th, and I think it was I didn't actually know about the their performance qualifiers and stuff. I didn't actually do that much research, but yeah. I think me putting them 16th was less about their team and more about the people that were above them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Are these all Albury players, or have they got some people coming in from like other sites and stuff?
No,
Yeah,
it's full Albury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see
the Sorry, I was gonna say the whole team's played together for quite some time. But Brownie's an addition in replace of Jake or Invictus.
Yeah. Okay. I think personally, I could see them transitioning to Helios 2 maybe quicker than people that come from Helios Pro, just because on Helios Pro, the phaser discipline isn't nearly as prevalent. Like you can just nook it on a wall and then you stay there forever as a turret, right? But on Nexus, even though it's a little like it's dodgy hitting the phaser, you still do have to like flick it in and out and stuff. So I think in that respect, I could see that doing them well. But obviously the timing's different and a different story, and the arena might bug them. But yeah, we'll see how they go. I think there's a lot of really good teams at this comp, so it's gonna be hard to. Yeah. Any last things for the Albury Outlaws?
Don't play the wooden spoon game. Get out of there.
Get out.
I think we said it, but I think if they end up in that game, Cerberus will probably walk away with it.
Yeah. Well, moving on to our 15th team, which I revealed before. I was so confused because I did it, and then I just look over. I see like everyone's like laughing at me in the chat, and then you guys were laughing, and I obviously can't hear anything. I was like, "What have I done?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Because literally every other time we've done this, there's only been one team on the right side, like on this last column, and then I've gone straight to the next one. That's
A man of habit. I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, y'all already know, unless you weren't paying attention. 15th place, Hobart Cerberus. So I had them in 15th. Runt had them in 13th. Spider had them in 16th. Community Predictions had them in 16th, giving them overall of 15th. So on the team we have Dominator, Captain Morgan, the Rizzler, Nelly, Tiger, and Flikick. Runt, what do you I'll let you talk about these guys.
So I've got these guys pretty high. I've been watching them train a lot recently. They're putting their training to work. They're really getting the most out of training. We've seen all of them individually improving a lot, and as a team, they've been a lot more composed and making like more reasonable calls in like panic scenarios and having a lot more smooth transitions. They've played together for a little bit now, so they're starting to like find their feet in the terms of they kind of know who's strong where, kind of know like, oh, if this person's on this door, I'm not going to get calls from them, so I might focus that door a little bit. So once you start to like work around your weaknesses, you start to get it a lot stronger, and I think that's what they're kind of starting to do. So even though they're not hugely strong pack on pack players or anything, they're kind of learning to play around that. And I think they're going to do a lot better at this prenats than the past two prenats because they've found their footing, I think, at this point. I also think New Tea of Green, Tiger is one of the best players on that at this stage. So like, they give them green base and they're going to go off. Oh, and Ryan's muted himself. That's good to see.
Shit. I'm all over the place today, guys. I finished work, I raced home, I quickly finished this spreadsheet thing, and then I was on. So admittedly, my brain is all over the bloody place right now. I'm sure that won't be the last time I embarrass myself tonight. But is Tiger their last line? Sorry, is what I was trying to say.
So like, Tiger is very strong on attack, but a lot of the time he's their strongest anchor, so he ends up in that scenario. Even though, so yeah, I think a lot of the time what we'll see from that team is Tiger gets his bases then anchors, and I think that's a really strong setup for the team. So because these bases you kind of need a quick anchor who's like responsive to calls and is happy to move around a lot, and that's what Tiger is. So I think we'll see him in there a lot.
Spider, you got anything you want to add for Hobart Cerberus?
Yeah, not a lot. I think, is this the same team that has been playing like prenats? Have they changed anyone really?
All they dropped is Disney from Prenuts 2.
Yeah.
And same as Prenuts 1.
Yeah. So I think these guys have played together for those comps, which is going to help them like the whole way through. I enjoy watching them. Anytime you have like a new team with like a bunch of new players, Captain Morgan, it's like really good to see them like hold up against other strong teams. I think personally having Outlaws in like the lower end of the ladder, assuming that's where they stay, I'm going to really enjoy watching these two teams go like head to head. It's like watching newer Hobart players versus like our New South Wales team. Especially with like Dom, I think he's doing like a crazy job. It's really hard to like just captain a team in any regard, but to captain like a bunch of new players as like a newish player, it's a big undertaking. So I think we all give him like big respect for it, but as long as he knows he does a good job.
Yeah, sick. No, I think Hobart Cerberus having the same core roster over the course of all these prenats, all the lessons they've learned, the fact they're training and saying they're pulling stuff together. I could very well see these guys jumping up a couple spots, but remains to be seen. Good luck to Hobart Cerberus. Do we have any last things we want to add before we move on to 14th place?
No, I think we're good.
Make sure you spell names right when you register.
That's right.
I will keep it.
Happy days. All right. Moving on to 14th place. I'm not going to skip any this time. We have Kismet. Is that how you say it? Kismet? I don't even know what it means. Whatever.
My
14th
understanding is
place.
it means like random, so they're like an assortment of random players.
Okay.
Team random.
Yeah, so I had them in 14th. Runt had them in 16th. Spider had them in 14th as well. Community had them in 15th, giving them an overall predictions of 14th place on the team. This is the most mixed team ever in the world. We have Moldy, Jipley, Ling Ling, Benny, Crosshair, and Ems. Yeah, who wants to start off talking about these guys? I guess you would have seen Moldy recently at the invites run, and since he's captaining the team, maybe you can get us started.
Yeah, this team's a crazy one to predict. Like the carry potential of Moldy and Ling Ling is actually insane. If Moldy picks up the packs, he's a very strong like brawling player that likes pack points a lot. So I think he'll be wanting to take those roles of just like get bases, get pack, carry team with points kind of thing. Ling is more of a player that loves to like try to walk people through bases. He loves being on those weaker teams and like trying really hard to punish those stronger teams for like inexperienced positioning and stuff, because he's very aware of how the game plays, and a lot of those players at the bottom tier aren't as aware as he is, so he will be trying to punish that with his teammates and walk them through bases, I reckon. So if they get that going, I think they're going to do very well. You have players like Gypsy on defense, and they should be able to hold up, but it's just whether other teams can find their cracks or not, because obviously you've got like two brand new players, Benny, who's relatively inexperienced, and I don't know if Gypsy is 100% locked into coming or not, so that will sway where the team finishes a lot. So yeah, this team could finish 10th or 3rd or like 17th essentially. But I don't know. I think there'll be a few too many cracks to go too much above the wooden spoon game.
Yeah, I think like Runt was saying, it's already hard enough to place mixed teams, but when like, I mean, isn't every single one of these people from like a different state, or like Ems and Jipley are from Queensland? Where's Crosshair from?
Aubrey.
Yeah, so we got two different Queensland, one from Albury, one from Adelaide, one from Hobart, one from New Zealand. It doesn't get much more mixed than that, guys. But I guess I can speak a little bit to Benny. Benny did have his first nats in Bendigo, and I think he was definitely, then and like now he's really coming into his own. He's been really impressive. Pre-nuts 1, especially his demeanor and attitude and everything inside and specifically like outside of the games was really, really impressive. He's like the youngest guy on his team, Adelaide Anomaly. And then he's like, at Pre-nuts 1, he was like, all right, guys, let's go team talk and stuff. After they've lost games, everyone's like got their heads down, but he was, he was on it. So he's a switched on kid. He's got he's got his head screwed on right. He doesn't really get tilted or anything. At least not that I've seen. And he's he's starting to get really good. And this will be his second pre-nats in Hobart. So
yeah, sweet.
Was he was at pre-nats 1, and I think Anomaly did go to that with like a this Ross has changed a bit since then, but he was one of the standout players like in the arena as well. I think he was last lining for the most part, and he was doing really well. So yeah, I think Benny's a really good fantasy pick, I reckon. So if you want a good 800k pick, put Benny on your team. 800k. Anyway, Spider, you got any things to say about Kismet before we move on?
Nah, I'd just be echoing if I did, but the one thing that I'm stoked for is I really want to watch Moldy play with new people, because he's such like a competitive person. So I think I'm gonna have so much fun just watching him play with this team. I think you said it, Brendan, but Ling Ling is going to be like a bit of a coin flip depending on how he wants to play this comp. He always has the power to like decimate or kind of just like cruise around. So I think that'll just be based on like how much effort the rest of the team puts in. So yeah, super stoked to see how that goes.
Alrighty. Well, if there's nothing else to say, we'll move on to the 13th place. Good luck to Kismet. But in 13th place, we have WA Cowboys. So we have Mushu, Weeb, Cowie, Gigantor, and Red Devil. And then, if I have a look over here, I had them in 13th. Runt had them in 15th. Spider also had them. Spider had them in 12th. Community Predictions had them in 13th. So overall, they earned 13th place. Yeah, who wants to talk about these guys first?
I mean, I've got these guys in the wooden spoon game, so I probably should.
Yeah, explain yourself.
This is a bit of a crazy prediction, but I mean, Gigantor's moved to Canberra now, and I don't think
True.
they're training in WA at the best of times. So I think this team will be very rusty in terms of laser tag, and especially in terms of working together. I don't know. It's just going to be so hard for these guys to come back from laser tag and into a new system, into a new maze, and I think contend with the people who have been playing that as prenuts. And
have any of these guys been at prenuts yet? Like
Red Devil has, yeah. Oh yeah, and Gigantor, yes, both of those two have actually.
I think they played prenuts 1. Did they play prenuts 1 with the BMW?
Yeah, good point. Was Gigantor at prenuts too? Yeah, I probably didn't consider that too much, but I'm gonna stand by it. I don't know. I just think these guys are gonna struggle a bit. I think it's gonna be a punishing maze where communication's very vital, and I think these guys are just gonna be a bit out of practice.
Yeah. You got more insight than I do.
Other thing, I think it's really easy to get to 9 in this maze, and when Mishu's on your team, sorry, but I think there's gonna be a lot going his way.
Yeah, mad. Spider, have you got any thoughts on on this team?
Yeah, I put this one up pretty high because it was ages ago, but in Darwin we had a few issues with a team similar to this, which was Fireflies. So I think we're just kind of like got that picture in our head. But going kind of like back towards this comp, I think this is like one of the teams, like this bottom bracket is kind of like a mix. And then classic prenuts 3, you have teams registering that are like full teams for nationals. And all those teams have players that have like been in and out of prenuts. But I think like the top side of this team specifically hasn't got quite enough experience. So that's why we got them like in the lower half. But we put them up higher because we want to see them come together.
Yeah, cool. I think obviously Gigantor and Red Devil, having been at prenuts already, they've got a bit of exposure to Helios 2. They've played a bit of the arena. Obviously, there's been some small changes made over the course of the prenutses. But if they can share what info they have, what they learnt from the previous ones, and if Mushu, Weeb, and Cowie are very very capable players, so if they're able to adapt to Helios 2, they could lock in this 13th place. But if they're maybe not able to adjust, we could potentially see them dropping a couple steps down, or they might really come together and just jump a couple spots. But that's up to them. Do we have anything else to add to WA Cowboys before we move on?
Look forward to the game. That's Outlaws and Cowboys.
True. Who will win? Bloody showdown. All right. Mexican standoff. Let's go. Moving on to 12th place, we have Noodle Box. So we have Griffo, Jam, Cheeto, Hazmat, Noodle, and Pug. I had Noodle Box in 12th. Runt had them in 12th. Spider had them in 13th. And the community predictions had them in 12th as well, which at them overall 12th place. I guess I can talk about it a little bit about these guys. So I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Griffo hasn't been to any of the prenuts yet, but all the other players have been to a prenuts. Is that correct? Or was Griffo at prenuts too?
Griffo came, yeah.
Yeah? Cool. So all of these players have been to at least one prenuts. I know this will be Hazmat's third prenuts. Noodle and Pug were at prenuts 1. Cheeto and Jam were at prenuts 2. So I think for me, when I was placing the teams, that's quite a bit of why I had them over the teams from 13th to 17th, is like overall the entire team has had some exposure and experience to Ilios 2 at the other prenuts and just the arena itself. And then also just all of these players. I can't speak specifically for Cheeto and Jam, but I did come up against Hazmat, Noodle, and Pug at Prenuts 1, and they were holding their own. They were doing pretty good, and they only would have gotten better since then. So, yeah, I you know, obviously it's a new team. I think this is pretty close to what their full roster is for nationals as well. So I'm sure they've been training hard and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. That's about all my observations I have. Did you guys have anything about we all predicted them around the same spot. So, but what do you?
Yeah,
guys
I
reckon?
mean, this is like Queensland's up and coming team, right? And they've proven that they can play at prenuts. I've been hearing, so I'm pretty sure Pug is going to be like in-game captain or whatever, or like actual game captain of the team.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing but insane things about Pug. Apparently, like fantasy Pug, and he's been doing an amazing job in captain. So, at risk of being hyped up too much by Queenslanders influencing me, I think this team will do quite well. It's no small effort to get like 12th place with a team this new. I think Hazmat was a really solid anchor that we saw at Prenuts 1. Jam was more than capable of like getting bases, pulling big scores, so they've got at least someone that can do that for the team. Pug and Noodle would like really solid on their duels. So yeah, I think these guys are going to do quite well for a new team.
Spider, you got anything you want to add about Noodle Box?
Yeah, I think in my head it's like classic Queensland. You see all these names and you're like, oh, they're new players, but realistically they're better than everyone else anyway. So I had heaps of issues. I said this in like one of the recaps, but I had heaps of issues with Cheeto just as a player. I find like when you have new players on a team, you kind of don't know how they play yet, and then they just like absolutely work you. So I'm pretty keen to see how like this whole team comes together. And yeah, it's exciting to see Griffo kind of leading the charge on paper, but it's just going to be like Griffo and children basically. It'll be fun team to run around and verse.
It's kind of cool, kind of wholesome. Yeah. Well, I think depending on how their training's been going at home and the adjustments they make at pre-nuts, potentially these guys could jump up a spot or two as well. But I think it'll be hard to go any further than that, just because of the quality, like the absolute powerhouse teams that are still coming up.